29. Second Causes, Persian Carpets. Lord, art thou wrapped in cloud that prayer should not pass through, but heart that knows thee sings aloud beyond the grey, the blue. Look up to the hills afar, and see in clearness the evening star. Should misty weather try the temper of the soul, come, Lord, and purge and fortify, and let thy hands make whole, till we look up to the hills afar, and see in clearness the evening star. Oh, never twilight dim, but candles bright are lit, and then the heavenly vesper hymn, the peace of God in it, as we look up to the hills afar, and see in clearness the evening star. In a letter of Samuel Rutherford's dated 1640, he speaks about the difficulty of being patient if we stay our thoughts down among the confused rollings and wheels of second causes, as, "Oh, the place! Oh, the time! Oh, if this had not been, this had not followed! Oh, the linking of this accident with this time and place! Look up to the master motion and the first wheel. If this had not been, this had not followed, how exactly true to life." The temptation to think along these lines can be vinegar upon nitre. That day, now over a year ago, when we 4 happy people found the little low door leading into the courtyard of the house we had rented in Joyous City locked, we stood outside wondering what we should do. The old man who had charge of the key was not there, and the key was not to be found. So we stood in the swiftly gathering twilight, ready to turn contentedly and go home if we could not get in. Just then another old man hurried up, the huge key of his own courtyard door in his hands. "This may open it," he said hopefully. There was a minute's fumbling. The door opened, and we went in. If the old man had not hurried up with a key, if the door had not opened, the confused rollings and wheels of second causes do not help us much here or anywhere. The Lord allowed it. Therefore, so far as we are concerned, he did it. Himself hath done it. And all he does is good. And what a special kindness to allow a disablement to come in the direct line of duty. We thank thee, O Father. There is another word in Rutherford's letters which often helps. They who contend with Zion see not what he is doing when they are set to work, as under smiths or servants, to the work of refining the saints. Satan's hand also, by them, is at the melting of the Lord's vessels of mercy, and their office in God's house is to scour and cleanse vessels for the king's table. The coolies who dug the pit where no pit was supposed to be, the old man who did not leave the key in its right place and so caused delay till dusk turned to dark, were the undersmiths, and all the troubles that followed were only scullions cleansing and scouring together for good. But there are limits set to the activities of the smiths and the scullions. On October 6, a member of our fellowship, who was in prayer in London, was suddenly caused to feel that danger was threatening the one here who, 18 days afterwards, fell into that pit in the dark. He prayed, not the easy prayer of the unconcerned, but the prayer of the greatly burdened. There was a sense of fear upon him, as of a terror by night. Then peace came, and he knew that his prayer was heard, and these who have tended the months know that such a fall might have been far more serious in its effect. The least, not the greatest, harm it could have done was allowed. But that was not all. 4 or 5 hours later, as the motor lorry with its cargo of the whole and maimed was on its way to Neyoor in the black night, in torrents of rain on a flooded road built up between rice fields and water, it crossed a deep fissure caused by the washing away of part of the road, where a tree had been torn up by the roots and flung down the steep bank. The lorry was going at such a speed that it had no time to sink into the hole. All of us were for a moment tossed like balls, and the injured limb in its splints, jerked out of the hand that held it, came down on the lorry floor with a thud. These rifts are often of unknown depth and extent and can be dangerous. Only the angels and the Lord of the angels, who had set a skilled hand at the wheel, saved it from plunging into the rice field, just then a swamp, or the deep water on the other side. If the lorry had gone over either unprotected edge, it would almost certainly have turned as it fell, and we should have been drowned or smothered in mud. But it did not go over the edge. And yet, if it had, should we have said that prayer was not answered? It is a petty view of our Father's love and wisdom which demands or expects an answer according to our desires, apart from his wisdom. We see hardly 1 inch of the narrow lane of time. To our God, eternity lies open as a meadow. It must seem strange to the heavenly people who have seen the beautiful end of the Lord that we should ever question what love allows to be, or ever call a prayer unanswered when the answer is not what we expect. As one of our baby songs says, "Isn't no an answer?" And where what is called a fatal accident is concerned, I feel like adding, "Isn't heaven an answer?"